Hello and welcome to another episode of Buyer Fireside Chat. Today, our topic is quality control and inspections. And I've got three industry experts with me today, Renaud Anjaran from Sofeast, Habib Raka from QC Advisor, and John Fordy from T40 Group. Hi guys, how's it going?
Hello, Megla.
Hi, Megla.
Hi, Megla.
Thanks a lot for joining us today. This is such an important topic. With the pandemic and with lockdowns and with everything that's been happening in the supply chain industry, quality control and inspections, of course, has become so much more important. And there's so many things happening in the industry that we want to talk about. But before we get into the topic, let's do some introductions. So I'll go around the screen over here and just tell us about yourself, your experience, where you're located, and how do you help importers. So Renaud, do you want to start first?
Sure. So my name is Renaud Anjaran. I'm originally from France. I've been in Hong Kong and China since 2005. And basically what we do is we help importers that develop their own products have transparency and control over their supply chain. So that, of course, involves quality control, involves also a lot of help on the product engineering side and setting up the supply chain. I'm usually between Hong Kong and Shenzhen, but with all the restrictions on travel, I'm more often in Hong Kong these days, let's say.
Right. John, over to you.
Sure. Thanks, Megla, for the invite. I'm glad to be here and taking part in these great events once again. Hello, Renaud and Habib. My name is John. I'm the director of T40 Group. We are a company based in Shenzhen, China, with over 12 years experience in international trade. We help our customers import products from China, offering multiple services such as sourcing, quality control, factory auditing, product development, and logistics. For most part of a new trade in Amazon customers, we offer tailor-made services such as product procurement. We consolidate items, we make bundles, combos, we do labeling, repackaging. Basically, we offer the full FBA cargo prepping, and additional to that, we offer the full DDP logistics service to an Amazon center worldwide.
Okay, awesome. Habib.
Hi, Megla. Nice to have you again. Nice to be with you, Renaud and John. So I'm Habib. I came in China for the first time in 2008 as a quality engineer for the automotive industry. I was working for a French company. So I'm from Morocco, and I lived about 12 years before China in France. Yes, I switched in 2012 to the third-party quality control for consumer goods. With an inspection company, and I started my own company in 2018, QC Advisor. So QC Advisor, we basically help our clients ship better product from China and other countries in Asia. We solely focus on QC services, so in three major steps: supplier audit, product qualification, and product inspection during production. I'm based in Shenzhen. I'm now in Chongqing because we have a special project in Chongqing today. It's very hot and very humid. This is why I'm wearing a t-shirt. Yes, I'm happy to have you here.
Thank you so much, Habib, for that introduction. Okay, before I start asking you guys some questions, I have to tell everybody watching that we have a free guide for importers about QC and inspections that we're going to be sharing with you. However, you need to stay until the end of the webinar to find out how you can download this guide. It's a comprehensive guide that will give you everything that you need to know about QC and inspections. So stick around with us until the end of this webinar. If you're not able to watch the webinar live, go ahead and bookmark this post, save this video, and come back to it later, watch the replay, and go towards the end of the replay and see how you can download this ebook. Okay, so let's get started. So my first question to all of you is, what are some of the trends and changes that you're seeing in terms of quality control and inspections currently, especially given that there are travel restrictions, there are logistics challenges, and the entire pandemic is still affecting many countries. So, what are some of the changes and trends that you're seeing? Renaud, do you want to start first?
Well, the first thing you mentioned, travel restrictions and pandemic, and I think that's pretty obvious, but that means less face time with the suppliers. And in China, what we've seen, especially this year, 2021, is a lot of relationships between buyers and suppliers going down, turning sour. They haven't met for a while. Miscommunications just pile up on top of each other. And, there's a point where they say, we really need to switch to another supplier. These guys, we can't do anything with them anymore. And the suppliers similarly can be very frustrated. They don't listen to us, they don't understand this, and so on. So FaceTime is actually quite important. And that's really a challenge here. Then the situation is quite different in different industries. I mean, you have industries that have boomed, gym equipment, home office equipment, and things like that. Golf equipment up 300%. I mean, some of them are doing great, and then some others are really suffering. I mean, apparel. A lot of industries have really suffered. So when they really suffer, the suppliers might turn to more unethical practices. And on the other hand, when things are booming, the supplier might say, yeah, I have a lot of other customers. I'm not sure, this little customer here always negotiating for prices. I don't really care about them. So sometimes they subcontract in bad factories. Sometimes there's all kinds of disasters like that. So wherever you are, you still need to pay attention to what's going on. Yeah. I will let the other speakers go because there's a lot of things to cover here.
Yeah, absolutely. John, how about you? What are you seeing?
Well, I am the perfect example. I'm in fact the victim of the travel restrictions. I'm running my company from outside China, basically. I'm currently in Mexico, stranded in Mexico, and I can't get back to China due to the travel restrictions. We faced this issue actually with we coming to the factories last year. Not so much this year. My staff are able to obviously go to factories, and now that the travel restrictions are being lifted, they've been able to take trains and visit factories. So there's some sort of normality has been restored. But as this year, I would say that is those travel restrictions are not affecting so much. For the first and second quarter of last year, 2020, we were affected quite badly. We were unable to visit our suppliers, check productions, perform quality auditing, and all due to the travel bans within China. We managed to overcome this issue in some occasions by actually subcontracting third-party inspections in those local areas. In some cases, if we're not a large quantity of products, a container load, we would request those suppliers to actually send those products to our warehouse located in Shenzhen, and then we did the inspection there. But for large quantity, yeah, we're subject to subcontract with third-party inspections. But towards this year, everything seems to be normal. We're starting to get some sort of normality, and everything is being restored gradually.
Okay. Habib, what about you?
From our side, I mean, Renaud and John already mentioned, I mean, major things about what's happening now due to the pandemic and travel restriction. From our side, I mean, as a QC professional, we are quite lucky because we have much more requests, and we are having clients that have that are using more third-party quality control services. I mean, I know some clients that used to work with us, but not inspect all their products or go by themselves, or have their own team coming from like neighbor country like Vietnam, Taiwan, India, going to China. Now we have really people adjusting. I mean, clients, customers, companies adjusting to this situation in the best way they can. I mean, we will cover later product development. for some more complex requests like product development, etc. We had to adjust with our clients who used to come before the travel restriction by themselves and qualify their product and have this kind of feeling, especially like product development manager who knows by heart all the product complexity, etc. So we had to establish new processes that are more systematic and more organized in order to be able to do the same things as close as they used to do before. Of course, we will talk also later about the VR, etc. But these are not major things. But major things I see is that really people are trying to adjust as much as they can. And for what I see from our side, we are it's a little bit like the difference between physical meeting before and now Zoom. It's still a little bit difficult, different from before, but we can manage it. We are managing it. We are able to manage it, and people are seeing that they can reduce their costs by sending engineer from Europe or America, by having more organized checklist, more organized process for product qualification, etc. By using some third party in the right way, by using maybe a combo between their own people and the third party in China. And frankly speaking, I mean, we are adjusting as much as possible, and it's working. It's working. It's difficult, but it's working.
Right. What kind of changes have you made in your processes? As far as, let's say, quality control or maybe vetting suppliers, are you doing anything differently now than you were doing, pre-COVID era?
On our side, on QC advisors?
Yeah. Yes.
I used to be a quality engineer responsible of qualifying products. So now all the projects that are regarding product qualification, like PPAP, these kind of things, I'm involved 100% with my team on it, but I'm the one piloting this. So I keep all the pre-shipment inspection and usual business factory verification audit to my team, and I'm really now working a lot on this. So I'm very, very busy in terms of operation regarding this. What we try to do is to create new services that are easily scalable, but it's still difficult. This is very customized for every client. We need to have their own protocol for qualification of the product, for their own defect checklist, etc., etc. So for usual inspection, not so many changes. We just try to be more careful as usual. But now we are trying to see how we can scale the other services, because we receive more and more requests regarding specific product development and specific factory audit, for example. That people, for example, I have a client from Australia that used to come by himself to audit his building material supplier, and he knows exactly what he wants to see, etc. But now we establish checklist, we establish more organized protocol for that.
Okay, awesome. So, Habib, let's talk also about technology and how technology is being used to conduct QC. So, for example, there's software or maybe virtual factory audits. That's a new service that you had launched, and you were kind of testing virtual factory audits previously. So, do you want to tell us a little bit about how those virtual factory audits work, and how exactly have they helped your clients?
So basically, in 2020, it was quite messy, because every month we didn't know what to expect in the next 30 days, because in February and March, China was closed. I mean, it was very difficult. I was very lucky to enter China a few days before, in end of March, few days before March 20th, when they closed the border. And we were trying to adjust each time. So first we create some checklist and inspection protocol and audit protocol for mask and PPE, because we had 80% of mask inspection in April. And second, we tried to adjust. We were thinking, okay, the border will open in July between Hong Kong. Then in July they said no, it will be in September. Then in September they said it will be in November, etc., etc. You know the story. So after that, I have some clients that were really like very confident to come before the Chinese New Year. I mean, they told me, no, we are going to come. I'm going to check with the consulate. Don't worry, everything will be right. I say, guys, with the situation now, I'm not sure anyone is coming. So we need to find some solution. So actually, I was talking with a Belgium client who has a small company but does a lot of big volume, and is a kind of boss who come to the factory by himself before placing big orders. So he comes from Bruxelles and go to Henan, Anhui, etc., and visit the factory by himself, and then give the green light for them to start production. So these guys, we were thinking, and I was talking with a friend who is like quite like media focused, camera, etc., and I told him, do you know how we can do a 360 tour? And then he like VR, because I knew we can do it in like for the real estate, etc. At some point I wanted to buy apartment, but I forgot about this idea. But I saw some like VR tour for real estate, and I say, if we do the same thing for a factory, it would be amazing. So he advised me, about all the technical aspects, etc. And we started our first VR factory tour in November, just like a trial for some clients. Sorry. So actually, it's not very complicated. It's a simple camera like this one, with a pod, un trépied. I don't know how forgot how we say it. Tripod. Sorry, tripod, and we just take a lot of pictures in the factory and assemble it after this. And this makes a VR tour of the factory that enable the user to really, the viewer to really go wherever he wants in the factory and travel by himself and see people and see how they organize the warehouse, how they do the labeling, etc. We were in a trial phase in the last, let's say, 4-5 months. Up to now, what I see is that it's mostly like an add-on for people who used to come, for people who used to have some process and come by themselves, etc. It's not really adopted by people who are just starting in sourcing or who used to only have audit, etc. So after this, it's like a business option. Like a high-class option for people who have this kind of need. It's very, it's very useful if you want to know your factory more. But some people still prefer to have most of the people still prefer to have the normal audit.
Okay. So is this mostly being used for factory, vetting, new factory selection, or also for inspections?
For now, we are using it only for factory audit. For inspection,
Okay.
what can be done is mostly like video 360 with the inspector to turn and see what he's doing. But it's not the kind of mindset I want to have to show. Unless it's really like a request from the client who wants to be there and see exactly and discuss with the inspector. We had this kind of request, but monitoring the inspector like this, they will leave you as soon as you implement this.
Okay, interesting. So, Renaud, what about you? What kind of technologies are you seeing being implemented in quality control and inspections in general?
Well, nothing new for us because we've been developing our IT platform and our mobile app for something like 5 or 6 years. So this has, it hasn't really changed the way we use technology. We haven't really seen the need for anything new. There's always things that you can do, of course. Habib is a good example. Some of the things we've had to do was real-time video calls for cases where you actually cannot go to the factory at all. And we just use WeChat video call because everybody has WeChat. Everybody with the video, with the internet connection can go, and then we say, okay, then you pick this one. Okay, now you test it like this. You press on this button, and then we keep watching. That's really when you cannot go inside, but it's very, very far from the real thing. Because you cannot touch, you cannot really feel if it's the same as the approved sample. They can play games much more easily. Like okay, hop, you check this sample up, and then up, it goes back here, and then you're going to check it again. It's very hard to actually keep track of these kind of things. So it's nice for small inspections of small batches where the client wants something very inexpensively, maybe in half an hour, check a few samples like that with the factory. That's a nice add-on, I would say. And doing that maybe at 2 stages during production, and then maybe having a real final inspection is a small thing. When there are important things like the labeling, because it goes to an Amazon fulfillment center and it has to be exactly labeled like that. Okay, then let's send us some clear photos or do a WeChat call, and then we check it together. It actually takes little time, really not much time, and it does add a lot of value. Same thing for factory audits. Something we really don't like to do, not being on site during a factory audit, but if you review the documents, you look at the records, and then you walk around with them and you pick, this one, show me the whatever, this sticker on the measurement instrument or whatever. It's it's very approximate, I would say, very approximate. But to get back to what you were asking before, also some things that we've seen more buyers come with is, and that makes sense. They cannot really build the relationship with their suppliers. They cannot have the long dinners with Baiju or whatever at night and get to know them and all that stuff. So they start to focus much more on contracts that are legally enforceable. They start to focus much more on building their checklist, a good checklist, a very specific and clear checklist as an appendix of the contract, and getting everything right. They have a lot of time. They go read articles on the China Law blog and this and that, and then they come back and they say, hey, I want it chopped like this with the company chop. I want like this, like this, like this. We've seen that more and more. I don't know if I'm the only one, but we've seen that more and more. And that's good because it pushes them to really spell down, in writing, black and white, what is expected, what happens if you screw up like that, and so on. And the checklist, how to check, and what is acceptable and not acceptable. I mean, that's great. That is actually a good development for those buyers that are actually good in that direction.
Yeah, but that's a really good point that you raised, Renaud, that relationships are really so important when sourcing from China or any country in Asia. But with the pandemic, with travel restrictions, you're not able to have that face-to-face interaction. And so what else can people do to, build that relationship? Or, does the relationship not really matter now? I mean, all of this is proving that, relationships don't really matter after all. But what else can sort of buyers do if they don't have the opportunity to build that relationship?
Yeah, I wouldn't say it doesn't matter in China. I would say that they have to find other ways to get to a minimum level of a sort of a personal relationship. Don't do chat on WeChat. Get them on video calls as much as possible, and do some regular checkups. Don't just talk with the salesperson following you, with chatting on WeChat at 11 p.m. before you sleep. This doesn't really help. Do some regular calls involving the manager. These kinds of things do help. But then it's back to the fundamentals, and Habib talked about that. I mean, setting a clear standard, following some steps for approving the prototypes and things like that. That all makes sense. It's back to the fundamentals, and people were just thinking that, just by being on site, it's going to be messy, but we're going to make a lot of progress very fast. Well, that it's an opportunity for them to upgrade their processes a little bit.
Right, totally makes sense. So, John, what sort of trends are you seeing in terms of technology being used in quality control and sourcing in general?
Yes, actually, now that they were mentioning video, using the video is pretty standard for a company to every time we go to do quality control or to go to audit a factory. From the moment we enter the gate, we phone the client, we make a telephone video, like a sort of conference, and we start talking to the customers and to the supplier at the same time. And it's a two-way conversation where they have, they're not physically there, but they can see everything as it's being processed. So they entirely doing from the beginning to the end of the whole process of either the auditing or the quality control is being relayed to them, so they can raise any questions they have on the product. And that actually serves to us in a very good manner, because they are the ones that actually in the auditing as well, they are actually there and they're present, and they're the ones who approve, yes, that product serves me, that's what I want, or no, that's not what I want. So it's like a second opinion on one new job, and that gives us a good gratitude, because it means that we're doing our process correctly. So yeah, it's pretty standard for us to phone the customer and film the whole process.
Okay, awesome. We've got one question from JC Young. Do you think the quality of the products produced in the factories in China can be guaranteed? So this is a very interesting question, and I'm sure everybody has an opinion on this, and there are different ways of guaranteeing quality. So Renaud, do you want to take this question first?
Well, you will find some suppliers that say, yeah, we guarantee, yes, no problem. 10 years, 20 years, sure. But, when you come back to them, are they really going to honor the warranty? That's a big question. That happens sometimes for equipment that has to be in place for a long time, right? I would say yes, the relatively large companies and contract manufacturers, some ODMs can sign a contract that does involve a warranty. There's always limits on a warranty, of course. That has to be negotiated. But if you buy 5,000 widgets on Alibaba, don't count on that, and if what you mean by quality is guaranteed, what you mean is that 100% of the pieces you will get are defect free, this is just not something you can count on for consumer goods in general. Just don't expect that. I think both John and Habib say that they organize inspections in a warehouse. I mean, same thing for us. We have 10,000 square meters in Dongguan, because we do assembly, packing, and things like that, and we have regular inspection and repacking jobs there. And one of the things that our clients want is, hey, sort out all the bad pieces. Okay, give us the standard, and we'll do that. What do you want us to do also? Laser engrave, repack like this, relabel like this, and so on. There's more and more demand for that, I would say, for all kinds of products, where before it was more something that you saw, for example, for when the Japanese were buying a lot of apparel, then everything would go through a inspection center, but this is something that more and more buyers are finding useful for their purposes. Yeah.
Right. John, what would you say to this question?
That's the reason why we do quality control. We're there to filter any issues with the products, and a good quality control, you should not have any problems at all. Obviously, yeah, as Renaud was mentioning, it depends on the quantity or on the quality, on the what is being set on the contract, what are your standards. Obviously, if you're buying a standard product, the chances are you're going to get a large percentage of faulty products. But if you invest wisely in a product that has a large quality margin, the risk of failure is less. So it depends really entirely on the cost of the product. And that's the reason why we have, as companies are based in China, so we filter. We are that middleman between the factories and the consumers. That's our job, making sure that the customer receives what he's basically paying for. Okay, and we'll be very truthful if the customer is purchasing something that is not up to the standard. We know that for a fact. because we obviously we've been doing this for such a long time that we can relate on certain factories and relate on certain products that are sub quality products. A factory, the way we have seen these sort of products, they will probably on a second order or on a third order, they probably try to make up for mistakes. If they have a batch of bad products on the first order, they will not replace the product. They will just make sure that for the second order or even for the third order, they will make up for those mistakes. That's the way we've seen factories deal with rising issues on quality. But
Right.
there would not be money involved. They obviously they will pay the customer back for bad products, or they will not replace the items. They will not send the items as a replacement unless there is a contract being made. And obviously, large companies are bound to do that, but small companies they would not.
Right. Habib, any comments from you?
I mean, if the question is about understanding if sourcing product from China can lead to always have, always try to avoid problem with quality, etc. China is a manufacturing powerhouse. It's where most of the world's consumer goods are made. There are a lot of brands. There are many brands that are very successful producing from China and having high quality product. So it's only this is the proof that that you can source from China and have quality product. But in between, you need to have the right standard, you need to have the right processes, you need to have the right qualification in order to reach this quality. China is a huge country with a lot of factories. There are good factories, there are bad factories, there are so-so factories. So when you come here, you are not here like you are buying from Amazon, like from an e-commerce platform, in like B2C e-commerce platform. You are here is kind of jungle, but it's a jungle where you can get attacked by a snake, or you can find a very nice tree with a lot of mango. So this is China. So if you are organized and you know how to deal with it, and of course you can reach quality and you can have your product with a minimum guarantee. That's for sure.
Right. So, JC Young, to answer your question, there's no guarantee that you will get good quality products, but to a large extent, quality does depend on how the buyer or the importer manages the supplier and manages quality. So, to a large extent, you can get good quality, but you have to be able to manage it and give your work with your supplier very closely in order to get that quality. Okay, I just want to remind everyone that we have a free ebook that we're going to be giving towards the end of the webinar. So stick around with us until the end of the webinar. This is an ebook about QC and inspections. And at the end of the webinar, we will tell you how you'll be able to download this ebook for absolutely free. And all of you watching, if you have any questions for our panelists about quality control or in general sourcing from China, please feel free to type them in the comments. So JC says, I agree. Thank you. Okay, so let's move on to the next question over here. Raw material costs are rising significantly across the board. So do you have any advice for buyers on how they can deal with rising raw material costs? And do you find that, maybe sometimes suppliers are cutting corners to offset these rising costs? Renaud, what would you say to that?
Yes. If the cost of raw materials is going up and you do not accept to pay higher prices, it's going to mean a lower margin for your suppliers. And what happens when they have a lower margin? They might start to behave in ways that you would not approve of. They might start to cut corners. They might say, well, he wants that grade of steel, but we're going to give him that different alloy. It's much cheaper. They're not going to see the difference. It's fine. It's roughly the same. It doesn't, from our understanding, it doesn't have any impact anyway on the end customer or whatever. So we're just going to do it. And who are they going to do it to first? Are they going to do it to the big customer that has a strong contract, very clear standard, regular inspections coming to monitor what's going on? No, they will do it to the small guys who have zero contract, who are not seen as good long-term customers. They're gonna enlarge their margins there first. So that's the risk. Now, basically, what some companies are doing is they are rethinking their products, maybe redesigning their product. Maybe it's an electronic product. Maybe there's a couple of features that most users don't really use. Well, boom, we can remove some electronic components. We can remove this, that, much cheaper. Maybe it's just a mechanical product, but maybe changing the materials, the size of one of the components, maybe changing the packaging, making it more compact. There's a lot of ways to actually remove costs from your product. Just rethink the way it's made. Go for version 2.0. That's what some companies are doing. It's more of a longer term effort, of course, but then you don't have to bang your supplier on the head for a lower margin, or you don't have to suffer a lower margin yourself, right?
Right. John, what about you? Any comments on higher raw material costs?
Absolutely. It's a major issue at the moment. Unfortunately, we keep seeing prices going up and up on a daily basis. It's very hard for Chinese manufacturers and sellers to keep up with the constant rise of raw materials, and it's all down to labor costs, exchange rate, import tariffs, etc. For our customers who make recurring orders, we try to keep them informed about any prices changes so they can quickly adjust and react to the current market, and hopefully avoid any future surprises in any future orders. So it's like telling them the price is going to go up, make sure you put up your current prices. So when you make the second or third or fourth order, it's not going to impact over your price, your current price at the moment. So that's sort of a way of us telling us the current price is this price. Make sure you're up to date with the market. Another good advice would be asking prices from different suppliers. So we keep doing that. We constantly asking different suppliers for different prices, just to get a sense of fairness of the current market price. Another advice that I could give is try to negotiate with the current supplier to the best possible price, always maintaining that you're not going to take the order to another supplier, you're not going to manufacture somewhere else. Usually manufacturers tend to comply to long business relations. Another big issue is the products that are being currently shipped by air. Air freight at the moment is very expensive. So if you can make a large volume of shipments by sea, you will reduce significantly the landing cost of the product. Hence, you can save a little bit on that. Try to squeeze the best margin you can of the product. Unless it's absolutely necessary, I don't encourage customers to try making a substandard product.
I think John is breaking up a bit
I'm
over
pretty
there.
sure the suppliers already.
Yes.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Can you hear
you're
me?
good now.
Hello?
Yeah, you're good now.
Yeah, I was talking about making substandard products. This will affect the quality of the product. And I'm sure some of the suppliers are reluctant to do this. I would not recommend. A good practice to avoid suppliers cutting corners in quality is to keep one approved sample in hand, and then you match it to the final production. We do this on a quarterly basis, so in that way we can be one step ahead of the supplier in case they make any changes on the current raw material or on the quality of the product.
Okay. Habib, what about your experience with higher raw material costs, and what advice do you have for buyers?
I just this morning happened to talk with a Brazilian client who do pipe, and he told me that the price were going up to 25% now for some material like iron, etc. So it's completely crazy. What we advise, I mean, as Renaud mentioned before, we just do the basics. What Renaud say for 15 years on his blog, or I think 12 years maybe on his blog, and also what I mentioned to my client. First, bill of material. I mean, it can be it can be a complex bill of material. It can be a simple one in a put in the PO, just mentioning the main. I mean, the main material or raw material of your product. It's extremely important also for you to manage cost. I mean, whatever raw material is rising or not rising. Always good to have a list of all the material you have in your product. For example, if you have a small pouch like this, the zipper cost 20 cents, this one cost 15 cents, this one costs 30 cents, and then you describe the material it is, and this will help you to manage, of course, in terms of, we're talking as a quality control professional, quality. In terms of like how to manage this situation, of course, you establish your raw material, but you also need to ease up something on some things, as Renaud mentioned. You need to be smart. You are not going to push the factory as much as possible. You need to try to reduce things or change material that are not very important for the functionality or quality of your product. For example, the packaging. For example, some accessories that are not really needed to be in like some kind of plastic. They can be in ABS instead of I don't know, PP. I don't know, whatever. And yes, so be organized and keep doing it, because it's a good way to start doing it. Bill of material, complex or simple, it does not matter, but bill of material within your contract or spec or PO, etc. And ease up a little bit during this crisis. Try to remove a little bit all the things that are not needed. Try to change maybe some practice. For example, if you have two pieces, one left and one right, that are symmetrical, you can maybe find a way to make the same piece in the mold to decrease the price, some kind of tips like that. So this way we what we see actually today with our client and what we try to do with them.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point, Tabib. So, of course, material costs are increasing, but apart from looking at the bill of material, you should also look at other aspects in the production process where you can actually reduce costs. So, like molds, or maybe something else that can where you can actually reduce costs. Habib, you also mentioned sustainability. Before we went live, you were saying that that's also sort of a big trend that you're seeing nowadays. So do you want to talk a little bit about that, and what sort of trends are you seeing in terms of sustainability from your clients? And then also on the supply side, what trends are you hoping to see that you're not seeing right now?
Okay, so QC Advisor started mostly with gift and premium clients. So we started with the first day I started QC Advisor, I got a call from a Swiss client who told me, okay, we need QC, we need production follow-up, etc. And they do gift and premium. So we really grew the first year with gift and premium. I mean, if it's the right time, because you use it in global sources. There are some people who use like gift, etc. Gift and premium item. And gift and premium items since, like, let's say 2015, 2016, start a little by little to specialize in being sustainable, environmental friendly, etc. Up to now, I mean, I don't know any gift and premium client or like buyer who is not having a range or a kind of category of product that are not sustainable. I mean, that are sustainable. So I mean, you understand what I mean.
Yes.
And yes, so this trend now is going to further industries. We see it, of course, in the gift and premium. They need to use organic cotton. They need to use recycled nylon or recycled RPET, sorry, and this kind of product. And also the garment, fast fashion is using more and more organic cotton, sustainably sourced material. And now what I see is that I have two clients who are in e-commerce and who are this year doing their product with sustainable material. So it's good, but you want to avoid greenwashing. And greenwashing is not only greenwashing controlled by the buyer, I mean the company. This we already know for many years, but now it's the kind of greenwashing that even the buyer or the company is not aware about. They think that they are buying organic product, organic cotton product. They think that they're buying recycled material product, but actually it is not. We see that. It's quite scary. I don't want to be too much negative, but if you are a small client and you buy organic cotton pouch bag or like tote bag, there is a chance, a serious chance that the cotton is not organic. You need to know, because now the only way to verify this, the only way clients are used to verify is to have a certificate. And the supplier, we go to the factory and they show us, okay, this is the certificate, it's written organic, and this is the material. So first, we don't have any way to know that the certificate is right. We can go to sometimes to some website, some organization to check, okay, the supplier has been audited last year, and okay, this is the most we can get. They have been audited last year in 2019, November, and we certify that they use organic cotton. Okay, good. The second thing is that you cannot link the two, the certificate and the material. Maybe this material is coming from another factory. So it's very, very, now we are starting with this need. It's very gray area for us to know if what we really inspect is organic or not, or is sustainable or not. And this, when we are inspecting it, sometimes the client, they don't inspect anything. They just give the certificate and that's all. They are fine. So I think this will be a major challenge in the next years, because more and more final users are expecting to use sustainable material, including me. I think most of us, we try to use more and more sustainable, friendly. We try to use some bags that are made of plastic bottle, this kind of things, this kind of practice. It will be more and more, especially in North America, Europe, and some other developed country. But with this, there will be a huge challenge coming, because there is a huge lack of transparency about it. So I think the QC industry, must or need to develop some solution for that, and we are working on it. We are working now. We launched recently a traceability audit where we go to audit the raw material in the factory. I think some solutions are coming as well from the food industry, where we use blockchain to trace the raw material from the farmer to the final user. This is going to be used, I think, in the next years for sure. So yes, this is the situation we are facing today.
Yeah, go ahead, John. You were saying something?
No, sorry. I just mentioned the word.
Okay. Yeah, so that's very interesting, Habib. And so as buyers, what can we do today to ensure that we are getting genuinely sustainable materials, that we're asking for? For example, organic cotton, as you mentioned, or maybe, some other materials. Is there anything at all that importers, buyers can do today?
If you're asking me,
Yeah.
today, control. You need to. I don't want to be like, and you need to try also, for example, to manage the sub supplier. Ideally, a good way as well to be sure. To decrease the risk is to provide a supplier of raw material to your supplier and tell them you are going to use this material because you are using a source that that is maybe like a French company in China that you are sure you are trusting, that supply this kind of material, this kind of cashmere, this kind of plastic, etc., and you want to control this first step. Then the second step is to double check, of course, traceability, make sure that these products are the one that have been used during production. It's the only way to do it is go on site and check. It's quite basic. But I believe there will be more and more solution. I mentioned blockchain. We're talking with some companies to see what we can do on this. It's still like marketing now. People are blockchain. People are a little bit amazed when they hear blockchain, AI, this kind of stuff. But I think this can be a good way to secure part of the process, which is to give more trust about the raw material and where they come from, because sustainability also involve social compliance. Sometimes you don't want your factory to you don't want your material to be made by kids or this kind of or by forced labor, etc. So yes, the whole control of the supply chain is the on my opinion is the only way now.
Right. Renaud, do you want to add to that? Especially the sustainability trends. Are you seeing that among your clients as well? And what about the supply side?
So on the client side, yes, because consumers are a certain fraction of consumers is pushing for it, or at least when there's two products on the shelves that are relatively at the same price, same kind of product, one of them says, uses recycled this or that, or plastic-free packaging and things like that. It does provide them an edge. Now, what I see from the companies that develop their new products, so maybe just buy an existing product, but want a special packaging that is more eco-friendly. I'm very cynical when I see that, because really when you talk to them, you see that they really don't care about it, most of them. But they want to have some kind of claim. What can we do? And they ask us, what can we do? What? But your product to start with is like totally unsustainable. It's totally useless. It's going to be thrown in the trash after 1 week anyway. I mean, what are you talking about? Just don't make this product. I want to tell them sometimes. So yes. Anyway, it is a need from the customer side, definitely. If you are afraid of them substituting the right material that you want from the right origin, as Abib explained, I agree with him. You need transparency into your supply chain. If you go on global sources and find a relatively large supplier, it's going to be lower risk than if you go, pick a very small supplier on a small local platform. There's a lot of things like this that you can use to reduce the risk, let's say. If you find a large company that makes that exact material that you want, then you have to direct them, as Abib said, and maybe they cannot buy directly from the big company, but they have to buy from an authorized reseller. There's a lot of that going on, and that's usually the safest thing to do. And you can request a proof of that purchase, and be in contact with the reseller to confirm that your supplier purchased that much of that material. Apart from that, traceability is a big topic. Some big companies, LVMH and some others, are investing a lot of money in that. We'll see some solutions, gather speed in the next few years. But how fast is it going to change? I have no idea.
Right. John, any comments on that, on sustainability from your end?
Yeah, well, basically, I was going to comment on one specific customer that she actually produces, she manufactures through us lamps, one of those Himalayan lamps. I don't know if you've seen it. And
the salt, Himalayan
pink.
salt.
Yeah, the salt. And basically, she produced a large quantity, and then she was leaning towards a eco-friendly packaging. So you see, as Renato was saying, it's very cynical, because there you are taking a product from the sources, and then trying to make an eco-friendly pack, a little bit more educated in how we do things and how we tend to do eco-friendly material and how it's used, and obviously adapt to that. But we still got a long way to go, I would say.
Yeah. John, you're kind of coming in and out.
Can you hear me? Sorry.
Yes, you're okay now. Okay,
Hello?
so yes, we can hear you, John.
Okay, so I just finished my comment.
Okay, awesome. And we've got one comment from RB saying, he's saying sustainability is a big challenge in case of wooden furniture, where FSC certification is required, as globally only 12% of wood is only certified annually. Oh, I didn't know that. Like only 12% is certified, but I see like the majority of importers who are doing wood furniture, they do want FSC certification and all. And I'm assuming RB Singh is from India. So Habib, do you do inspections and quality control in India as well, or do any of you do
Yes,
inspections in India? Yeah. So
yes,
what are
we
you
do.
seeing in India in terms of sustainability or certifications? And India is also big with organic cotton, for example. And so is there a difference between India and China in terms of the materials available and products available?
To be honest, I don't know much about like raw material situation in India.
Okay.
We have like today we are having an inspection in Tamil Nadu. It was very difficult to organize
Oh.
with organic cotton for like tote bag. Uh, we I mean we just check what we can check is a certificate. We check regarding the wood FSC certificate. We have almost every time we do inspection in Vietnam, for example, for furniture, wood furniture that are made locally, because there are also a lot of furniture that are just assembled in Vietnam, but wood furniture that are made locally, we need to check the certificate. I believe, and this is not based on fact or like I have, but from my feeling, I believe there is a lot of wood that should not be certified and that is certified in Vietnam. But again, I mean, this is a whole trend. You know, all the chocolate you eat every day is coming from Ivory Coast, etc. Do you think it's made in a factory with people wearing in a social compliance, etc.? It's made by kids coming from Burkina Faso, etc. So this is a huge global problem we are facing. In China is very important because China is a world factory. But I mean, everywhere in the world you have sustainability issue, and you cannot ensure that the raw material you are using or the product you are using are made in a sustainable way. I mean, this is expectation from the Western world and the developed world, but the reality in developed countries is very different. And what we can do is try to improve that. And yes, is by checking extra. There are some topics that I cannot talk about because I'm in China, but in China there are also a lot of problem about this. So you just need to
Yeah.
make sure about your supply chain control, know what you do, and try to really control everything the supply chain you have.
Right. Okay, so we'll start wrapping up the webinar now. Guys watching, if you have any questions for our panelists, type them in the comments now. We'll take a few questions. And so while we're starting to wrap up, I want to go around and ask everybody, what are some of your tips for buyers in terms of QC and inspections, in the current environment? What sort of advice and tips do you have? And what are some of maybe the pitfalls that buyers need to be aware of in terms of quality control and inspections? So Renaud, do you want to go first?
Get your basics right. I think we reiterated that a few times. A clear standard and a good checklist, and vetting your suppliers carefully, not just trying to find someone who has good English or a nice sample on a trade show. This is a bit difficult, a bit dangerous. You need you might need to work with suppliers that have good engineering capabilities if you need them to develop a new product with you. That's very important, and some websites like Global Sources do help you see this kind of information. Yeah, and don't plan for the end of COVID anytime soon. Think of how you need to change the way you work and your processes. Imagine it's going to last for 3 years. What would you do?
Wow. John, how about you? Any tips and advice for buyers?
Yeah, sure. Hire a company like ours, so we can do the quality control on their behalf. And no, I would say build a good relations with the suppliers. Always check certifications and regulations. Ask for samples, so you can sample the products yourself. You can check the quality and agree on that, and make sure your supplier supplies what is being agreed on.
Okay, so basically monitor and manage your
Correct.
quality even more closely.
Indeed.
Right. Habib, what about you?
I'm on the same line as what Renaud mentioned. Is really back to basics. What we mentioned to everyone since years is really be organized. Have a process for qualifying your supplier. Have a process for qualifying your product, and have a process to qualify your production, which is like systematic, evidence based, and risk management based. If you have a high risk, of course, you need to higher the frequency and of the control. If you have less risk, because it costs money, you also decrease the frequency. The thing is, like, we still work with some clients that are more or less organized, some are less organized, etc. But I see a trend that people tend to be more organized now with the pandemic, because they have more time, because they cannot come, etc. So yes, don't evidence base is very important. I mean, you cannot just select a supplier because you have a good feeling with them. Of course, it's part of the process, but it's not the whole thing that you should take into account. You should try to visit them, try to see if the product they manufacture already are similar to yours, etc. If you need customization, you need to check their engineering capability, as Ono said. Yes, back to basics, evidence based. Systematic means every time you don't do it just when you think there is a problem or etc. So yes.
Okay, that is absolutely great advice. Okay, awesome. So we'll start wrapping up over here. A couple of things that I want to do. First of all, I want to just display your email addresses in case anybody wants to get in touch with you. So to reach out to Habib, this is his email address, habib@qcadvisor.com, in case you have any questions. And then Renaud is ra@sofeast.com. Also check out his blog. Renaud, what was your blog? Qualityinspections.org. Yeah.
Qualityinspection.org. It's
Yeah. Okay. Qualityinspection.org. Really good blog, updated very often. I've been following the blog for, yeah, I think 10, 12 years now.
thanks,
Very
Megla. Thanks.
consistent.
Cool.
And then John is john.40@t40group.com. So definitely reach out to any of these experts if you have any questions or if you want to know more about their services. Okay, so now as promised, I'm going to show you and tell you how you can download this ebook that we have about QC and inspections. So this is the QR code. You can scan this QR code and it will take you to a landing page where you can actually download the ebook. So I'll give you a couple of seconds over here, everybody. Take out your phones, scan this QR code, go to the landing page, download this ebook for free. You can also see the URL scrolling at the bottom of your screen in case you want to take a photo of the URL as well, or just try to type it into your browser. And we'll also post the link in the comments later once this live video finishes. But yeah, if you're here right now, take a photo of the QR code, check out the free guide, and download it for sure. All right. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Renaud, Habib, John. It was really good information, very insightful, and I'm sure our viewers found it very useful.
Thank you
Thanks,
very
Megla.
much.
Thanks
Right.
for having
Thanks
me.
a lot. Okay. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. And we'll be back with another Buyer Fireside Chat webinar next month. See you all. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.